Hello everyone, welcome to Dragonmount. I'm Crystal. I'm sure you're most used to seeing me with my bearded brother Thom on the Monday night rewatch shows, but there are so many different ways to connect with Dragonmount. We have our Patreon channel, which we have a lot of exciting things coming up for our Patreon members, so there is still an opportunity for you guys to join us there. There's the Dragonmount Discord, where you can chat with some of the staff members and other fans. We also, if you're a TikToker, you can head on over to TikTok, where our beautiful kitty Rallo is over there creating content for you. And then on our Dragonmount YouTube, we have a lot of content. We have an interview we did with Rafe several months back. We have interviews with tour authors. Of course, you can watch our rewatches if you miss them live. There's just so many different ways to connect with us other than on our lives on Monday night. In April of 2024, so just a month ago at JordanCon, Thom and I sat down with Joe and Jono from TWoTcast, and we had the opportunity to interview Uno from Amazon Prime's The Wheel of Time. And it was an absolutely phenomenal, I think 20 minutes, half an hour. It was amazing to hear him talk, to hear his passion for the fandom. So sit back and enjoy.
When we got to interview Rafe, I don't remember when, but you could check the YouTube channel and find out, on Dragonmount. The very first question we asked him was very hard hitting. Amazon was like a little upset with us for it. So I hope you don't get upset, but
bring it on.
Prepare. Okay. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Eddie's go.
Way to go, Thom.
I'm sorry.
Like, we're
I
done
just
with
want
it.
to know. I love dinosaurs.
Such a hard question.
No one asks me anymore.
All right, I have a very complicated, long, tortured PTSD story about this. So, as a kid, you feel an obligation, of course, to have Tyrannosaurus Rex be your favorite dinosaur. And T-Rex was my favorite dinosaur. But my little stuffed animal dinosaur was a Triceratops. And when it came that time, when I was about 5 or 6 years old at the Museum of Natural Science in Houston, to buy the dinosaur, something within me picked Triceratops. So I've deeply wondered about this my whole life. Why I didn't, because T-Rex was my favorite, but yet I went to Triceratops. And then I have to say, I love Pachycephalosaurus. Just saying that name is so damn cool. You know, yeah.
I'm going to talk to my therapist about this week. When we get back, this is going to be good. I didn't realize I had stuff to unpack about my Triceratops choice. But now I realize it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. We just kind of wanted to talk about, when did you first get into acting and how did you decide this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I was raised, I would say principally by my grandparents, and my grandfather was a painter, and I thought I was going to be a painter, a portrait painter or some kind of visual artist. And then when I was 15 years old, I had heard there was this film called Hamlet that was a film that a guy named Laurence Olivier made, and he won a bunch of Oscars, and it was considered the greatest play ever written. So at that time, I was really poor, and I was living in a trailer in Texas, and out on the outskirts of Houston, Texas. And I went to the video store, and I got my Betamax video of Hamlet, and watching Hamlet, Laurence Olivier's Hamlet in the sweltering sun, one summer when I was 15, it was, I felt like God was speaking to me, because here was this man saying the most incredible words that somehow were touching my tortured, angst-filled teenage soul. He had these amazing clothes, like amazing white puffy pirate shirts. He lived in a castle. He kissed 2 really pretty women. He had an amazing sword fight that he won even after the bad guy poisoned him. And I just thought, well, what more do you want out of life? And so I realized, okay, Shakespeare for me, Shakespeare.
Wait, giant white puffy pirate shirt. That's the cover of Lords of Chaos.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Nicholas K. Drand is
Book one.
Yeah.
Just making sure. I gotta get it straight.
It's amazing artwork. We will promise not to poison you.
Was it that young, like 5'6"? That's what.
No, when I saw the movie,
Yeah.
no, I was 15. I was 15 years old. Yeah.
That's hard.
But then I immediately went and, I started a high school Shakespeare club, and we would do insane things. Like, I don't know how I got kids to wake up at, 6:30 in the morning and read sonnets together before. I don't know. It was totally mental, but it was Shakespeare for me after that.
Hugh Jackman told a story about how he had to pee so bad once while singing, and he had a choice of hitting the high note and peeing maybe, or singing flat. He chose the high note. Do you have any embarrassing moment like that? Obviously, implication, he may have urinated himself.
I mean, basically every moment I'm on stage is embarrassing. So yeah, for the audience and me.
Another thing I have to unpack with my therapist.
Yeah, no, what I would say is actually all those moments, those are the really special moments, and all performers, if you're doing a play, you have them, and that's what you remember. I've done a lot of fake fighting in plays because there's a lot of fake fighting in Shakespeare plays. So I would say the fake fights are often the most hilarious and painful moments. You're always afraid a sword's going to break and fly out in the audience and stab somebody. So we haven't killed anyone yet, but we definitely have had some mishaps. I was playing Mercutio once, and Tybalt had a chain, and I had a big lead pipe, but the prop guy didn't saw off the edge or didn't file down the edge of the lead pipe, and I had a move where I went like that to Tybalt, but the lead pipe, it went all the way up and ripped my skin off basically to the bone. And cut my finger. Yeah. But I was so much in shock when it happened. All I could think was, my character's about to die. I've got real blood on me. I got to wipe the blood on my wound and use this moment. And then I was like, okay, I'm a real actor. This is amazing. And then I walk off stage, and the stage manager is looking at me, and my arm's kind of shaking, and she says, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm totally fine." And then I fainted, and but they took care of me, and what was amazing, I tell you, the amazing thing about playing Mercutio, this is not official advice, but if you're doing Romeo and Juliet and you play Tybalt or Romeo, you're dead at the end of the first act. So you have time to run down the street to the pub, pound a few drinks, and then race back in time for your bow. And so getting back in time for your bow and timing it exactly, that is the real art.
That's what it takes years of practice, right?
That's when you graduate up to master class. So obviously 15, you didn't do any acting before that, did you? No.
No.
Okay. So you started in stage acting, and I'm sure, you developed a lot of tricks of the trade, things that just come up, that problem solving that you just have to do. And now this was good. I'm going to remember that one for later. Did you bring anything that you learned as a stage actor onto the sets for, the Wheel of Time that was oh, this is what we do when this happens, and it worked, and then it worked? Or is there any kind of thing that? No,
it's a very odd thing, because it's totally different, but at the same time it's the same, because it's essentially just make believe. And I think a thing that I would do probably in both situations is there's just really certain breathing techniques you have to kind of calm yourself down, because the camera is all about relaxation. And it's very hard to be relaxed when there's a million people around and you're behind, and we've got to do this. Go, relax. That's really hard. And so, but I would say in another way, they are different in that, film acting is thinking, right? So, and bringing things in some ways. I mean, everyone has their own view of it, and stage acting's about taking it out and giving something. And it's quite difficult when you're performing on stage. You're acting for everyone. And it's quite difficult on a film set, if you have a lot of stage experience first, to get used to the fact that you're not acting for everyone on the film set. You're actually only acting for that camera. that is your audience, not everyone else. And so that can be a bit challenging. Yeah.
I was literally just going to ask, like, what's the difference between acting to an audience or a crew? And you already answered it because you're a genius. So we're good.
Well, I'm going to switch to the Wheel of Time books themselves.
There we go.
We all have indelible memories, right? I don't know when you started to read the books themselves. I was 10, 11, something like that. And my original copy of The Eye of the World is stained with honey mustard and onion pretzels that I was eating. Literally just kind of corners of them are just kind of yellowish. And if I eat one of those pretzels, I'm like, oh, I should read The Wheel of Time now. I also remember where I was with in book 6, I believe, or no, excuse me, book 5, where when Rand and goes to the sex igloo. My book is it's not stained. Do you have any indelible memories that you kind of like? I can remember exactly where I was when I was reading this. Or
Yeah, I have two really strong visual memories. And so when I went to drama school, I loved fantasy books as a kid. But when I went to drama school, my first semester at school in 1990 in the fall, I thought, all right, I have to be a serious Shakespearean actor now. I can't read fantasy anymore. I have to only read about Elizabethan and Jacobean playwrights, and I have to take this very seriously. And so I was at the Triton bookstore in Boston on Newbury Street, and I'm walking around the bookstore, and I see that cover with that little tiny blue woman and that big guy in the armor, and I just thought, oh, I have to read that book. And so I bought the book, and I kind of hid it in my dorm room. I didn't want anyone to know I was reading it. And I was like, oh, I can't get rid of this. I loved it so much. And then I didn't realize that Wheel of Time was popular and that other people had read the book. So I never talked about it with anyone, but I would always, back in my day, you would go to the bookstore. You didn't know when something was coming out. You'd go to the bookstore and just see if there was a new book on the shelf. And so whenever there was a new Wheel of Time book, it was amazing. And then when Robert Jordan died, I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. The story's not going to be finished. And then I remember the first day I was back at it was a Barnes and Noble, and the Sanderson book was there. And my head exploded. And I just feel so dumb because years later, I realized, oh, wait a minute, it's not just me. Everyone loves these books. These books are amazing. So
outstanding. It's amazing. I had the same experience of kind of like, I don't know if, just going to hide this in my room somewhere. And then it looks like the back of Wheel of Time book. Well, that can't be right. So who would be?
What was it hidden next to?
Yeah.
That's my something I want to know is when you're rereading The Wheel of Time, if you do you just envision yourself immediately as Uno?
So before the TV show was even announced, I'd read the series twice and listened to the audiobooks, Kate and Mike, which are amazing. And actually that's how Jessica, my wife, got into the series. She read Eye of the World. She started reading Great Hunt. And then she just asked me to find all the Sean Chan references. But she listens to the audiobook. So whenever we have a road trip, and she really loves those. And now Rosamund's audiobooks are just phenomenal as well. It's incredible. Yeah. Yeah, no, but I think when when I first read the books, it was all about Matt for me. And then I went through my Rand phase. And as I'm older now, I'm kind of really appreciating Perrin in a different way.
Funny story, Robert Jordan always saw the most of himself in that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, also the one for me, the one I always aspired to was Lan, of course. And I don't know. I love Moraine. I love every sentence that involves Moraine. I'm just totally down for.
Hold on, for Sarah. Team Moraine for life?
Yes, definitely. And all of them. And that's what I love so much about the books is when you come back to them, there's something new. There's a new character that you're really into. Also being a short king, I love Little Wolf, So that's what I really love. And I think, there's so many, I talked a little bit about it last night in the Shakespeare panel. there's so many parallels with Shakespeare that I find in the books. You know, in Romeo, I mentioned Romeo and Juliet. Well, he had to kill Mercutio because Mercutio was stealing the show. Same thing he has to do with Moraine and Lanfear in a way. You got to get rid of them, you know, because it's just becoming the Lanfear show, the Moraine show. And I love coming back to the books because you find something else. And I think that's why so many fans can read them 25 times. And that's why they're great works of art. They are terrific, amazing, significant works of art, in my opinion.
So when you mentioned Michael and Kate, that made me think of a question. So we got to interview Hamed for
he's amazing. He's so amazing.
Oh my God. So when they announced that to make everyone mad at like when they first announced it, we did like a what could they cut panel. And I've learned doing panels here that I like to invoke emotion in the crowd. I don't care what the emotion is, as long as it's strong. So yeah, so I was talking to Daniel Green, and I was like, I told him, I was like, they could cut the Ogier and change nothing about the entire story. Like, they're completely irrelevant. Like, just make them extinct, and that's it, and you're good. So, and Daniel was like, oh my God, and we were like arguing back and forth. So then when we were on the panel, he's like, tell the audience that. And I'll tell the audience that thing you said, and then they erupted. It was great. But I would have cried because some of my favorite scenes from Michael and Kate are when Michael reads. I love his voice as Loyal. So like, I was a little worried. You know, I haven't. Hamed is a relatively new actor. Fantastic. I love him now. Like that, I've seen his work. But I was worried a little bit about the voice. As soon as he walked on set and I heard, like I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then he spoke. I was like, oh my God.
Well, you know, Hamed is an extremely popular, well-known stage actor in the UK. And he gave a searing, indelible performance as Bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is just incredible. And I think I'm remembering a story Rafe told me correctly that Rafe saw him in that and was blown away. And that is why Hamed is Loyal. But he's so great to play with too, and I was so happy in season 2. I got so many scenes with Hamed, and we really, I think, had this kind of funny because you know he's in that costume. He's so giant. I'm so short. You know, it was like this odd buddy film. You know,
I call you guys on our show. I say the fans give me shit, but I think it's endearing. When after sadly. Spoiler alert, you passed away in the show. I don't know if anyone's seen it. There's a show, it's called The Wheel of Time. He had a moment. When it happened, I was like, it's when you want to hate, I feel like as a director and storyteller, when you want someone to hate a group of people in a movie or a TV show, you kill the dog. And
Uno is the dog?
Yes. So listen, I imagined you guys as Han Solo and Chewbacca. You are Han Solo. And when you think about it, and it works with Ogier and humans too, when you think about it, Wookiees live for hundreds of years. Humans only live for like 60. Ogier live for hundreds of years. Humans only live for like 60. Well, I mean, they don't have penicillin. So like, you know, dogs only are with us for a short time. So the joke in Star Wars is that Chewie adopted this dog he didn't mind giving him a life pack. He's only going to be around for like 10% of his life. So yeah, he picked up. So that was the joke that I always say. And they were like, I'm like, he's Han Solo. That's the cool one. He gets to fly the ship. There's just no ships. He's just awesome there. Is that am I wrong? Is that endearing, or was that
Thom, you are always wrong.
That's true. That's true. My wife would agree with you. She would agree. The other thing that I wanted to ask about what Hamed said about specifically when he was getting in costume was that for him it doesn't happen. Like he doesn't feel loyal until he puts the hands on.
Oh, and the hands are amazing. The way they can articulate and everything. And then they've spent a lot of time on it. And it's just incredible. The fingernails and everything. Yeah.
The feet were interesting, though. I want to say, I don't think anyone picked up on that. And then when he was walking down as a Da Cavalli, I was like, what are those? Yeah. There was elephant toes, but all right, anyway.
And he's just such a legend because, you know, that incredible makeup that he has takes hours and hours, and there are times where that poor guy's having to get to set at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and he's a legend.
He said that it made him interact.
No, actually, I think I have the second longest. I started off about 3.5 hours, and then we got it down. We got had an amazing makeup artist, Bex, and we got it down to about 2.5 hours. Yeah, because there's a lot of scars they have to do and things like that. Yeah.
So yeah, one of the things we wanted to know was what was going on with your actual death scene? Is that practical? Is it
Yeah. So there was
a cast of your head?
Of my whole body, basically, and there's a dummy somewhere that I thought for a brief moment about keeping, but it's so freaky. It actually is quite strange. And there's a hilarious photo Jessica has. Maybe she'll post it where she's like in triumph standing over my dead body. No, but it was, it was great fun to film it. But the horn was a Nerf horn painted green. And so I kept having to do this. And, it's really hard when you have an eye patch to start up here and do that. Yeah. And then, but I did it. It was all me doing it until then. Afterwards, there's a scene where my body's just there, and then there's a scene where they kick it down, and they use the dummy for that. Yeah, they used the dummy for that.
So we wanted to know what happened to that dummy. Does it sit in the corner of your house? Do you scare your family with it?
No, I definitely don't have it. But it's in some warehouse in Amazon somewhere. Well, I don't know, but it looks amazing. I posted.
It's in the garbage because I'm never gonna need that again.
Yeah, I posted a photo of me on Instagram or something with the dummy, and it's quite traumatic how much. And then you look at something like that, and you think, "Fuck me, is that what I look like?"
Another thing we have to unpack with our therapist. This is a learning experience.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty terrifying.
Last question for me. Your wife, Jessica, played Alwyn, the voice who led to Uno's demise. Again, part of the spoiler. How does that dynamic play out in real life? And does she ask you to, bow down and swear oaths often now?
Yes, and I always do.
You're a great husband.
No, that was really, it was so strange because I'd been on the show about 2 years before that happened. And her first day on set was that scene. And,
That must have been exciting.
and I'm just, it was very odd. I was like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? Oh, you're here to kill me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
love? Yeah.
No, but it was so special to be able to share that with her. And that was such a great, fun scene. We had Karima there and Ferris, and it was just really fantastic to do that. And I'm so happy that we were able to keep it a surprise. I think it leaked a little bit that Uno died, but what I really didn't want to leak was that I came back as a hero of the horn. That was the thing that I was really hoping wouldn't leak. And I was really worried about it. And then afterwards, some of the YouTubers and the podcasters and stuff sent me messages, and I asked them, did you know? And none of them knew. Even Geeky Airy and John at What Up said, no, we didn't know. And I was really happy we were able to keep that secret because, sometimes the secrets get out. And sometimes the things that get out, I think, oh my God, who is leaking? It's got to be Rafe. Like no one knows this except Rafe. But I don't think it is. But my favorite thing is when something leaks and then the theories about what it is or the casting are so wrong. And it's amazing. I'm thinking about like Show Ray, for example, and stuff like that. So
in that same vein, what is like the strangest fan theory that you've ever heard?
Ooh. I think it would be all the theories that would come up always about Forsaken. About who the Forsaken were, which Forsaken would you cut, these kind of things. The Forsaken theories are always really fun to listen to.
Well, we can't thank you enough for sitting down with us today. This has been really fun, but we had one more question we had to ask you. So no spoilers. We don't expect spoilers, but if you could just whisper one thing to the entire Wheel of Time fandom, what would you say?
Season 3. That's all I'm going to say.
Thanks for hanging out with Dragonmount this evening. I hope you enjoyed our interview with Guy. If you liked what you saw, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and follow us so that you can see all of the content that Dragonmount has to put out. And aren't you guys glad that tonight Thom didn't run off Guy with that hard-hitting question right there at the beginning about what's your favorite dinosaur? I mean, he literally tried to leave the room, but luckily he stayed and finished talking to the rest of us. But again, make sure to give us a like and a follow, and you can find links to all of our social medias in the description of this video. Until next time, peace.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for sticking around to the end. As always, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button or leave a comment. We like comments, especially positive ones. If you have a friend who enjoys the Wheel of Time, tell them about Dragonmount.com and our show. Special thanks to our show sponsor, Tor Books, as well as to our Patreon supporters. If you want to learn more about how our show is made and get additional insights into the Wheel of Time, you can become a Patreon supporter. We have a lot of big plans for the show, and your contribution will go a long way to making them a reality. Be sure to follow Dragonmount on social media, and see you next time.